Okay, so we're going to start with some basic questions. How did you get started in kind of filmmaking and specifically acting for you?
My great grandfather had a movie camera when I was growing up, and I eventually inherited it. And I think I made my first movie when I was about 12 in 1982 with some guys in the neighborhood, and that was the debut of writing, acting, directing, and doing all of it. So yeah, when I was 12, and then just from there, in school, drama class, and things like that.
Maya?
When I was in elementary school, I did my first play, and I sort of got bitten by the bug of acting, and been doing it ever since, really. I got to go to college for musical theater, and now I do this, I guess.
Vidas, how did you get started? You started as a writer?
Well, actually, no, I started off as an actor. I went to school in Chicago to be an actor, and then I I got into writing, started writing plays and things like that, and then fell more in love into the writing aspect. And then graduated from college, a bunch of us decided to do a short film, and I wrote it and acted in it as well. This is when I was living in Chicago, and it got on a PBS and stuff like that, and so I thought, hey, I'd like to do this, and that's why I got involved, like with film. So I got like Maya said, I got the bug, and so yeah.
So how do you feel that like the whole filmmaking scene has changed over the last 10 years thanks to like digital video? Do you think it's had an effect?
I think digital technology has had an effect on any creative person, whether they've been doing music or whether they're doing visual media or whether they're doing film, motion pictures, I would like to call them, because that includes film and digital video, and it keeps everything pure.
Yeah, I always say movies.
Yeah.
I don't like to say film because I've shot film and I've shot videos, so I always just say movies.
Yeah, movies makes it's that moving picture image thing. But I think the price of entry of being able to get a decent picture with decent audio that's editable and watchable, the price of admission to that world is greatly reduced because of all the digital toys we have. Almost everybody has a home computer. For a couple $100 you can have software enough to edit.
Not even a couple
Not
$100.
even that. Some of it's free online.
No, it's all free. I mean, with iMovie comes with a Mac.
Yeah.
Windows Movie Maker comes with any PC. I mean, and video editing doesn't cost anything today. And
that's true.
even those most basic programs, 95% of what you do as an editor is there.
Basic cuts, yeah. And you're right. It's the price of admission to get something from idea to a watchable moving picture, and even the distribution network, which can be online through YouTube or various sites. That's all free too, and the world can watch what you've done, and for very little investment. Of course, doesn't mean that everything is good out there or that the quality is high. There's a mix of things out there, but the price of admission has really gone down because of the availability of digital technology. Yeah.
So have you found that you're like getting more roles because of this like digital technology? You find that there's suddenly more movie work as opposed to what there was like even 10 years ago?
Absolutely. Yeah, the opportunities have opened up a little bit. I mean, the floodgates haven't opened, and the ocean isn't trying to wash me away with acting roles or anything yet, but it's definitely opened up the doors.
So you started to get involved in that even arena too. Is that kind of what your film you were just talking about was in that kind of realm?
No, well, we did that we shot that on 16 millimeter, and that was very important to get the right lighting people, to get all that stuff, and it was very technical. And then when I got into digital video, it was a lot easier to make film. Bryan and I did another film where we flew a guy in from LA to be our cinematographer, got a lighting kit, and it looked just as good as anything that we shot in 16 millimeter. It was cheaper, a lot more versatile. We could do a lot more things with it, and so yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful tool for everybody.
So tell me about some of the other projects you've done as an actor, like over the last few years.
Well, I really didn't start doing. I tried to make a movie with John Jackson back in 1987. It was the first time he and I had access to something called a camcorder, which was not just a video camera, but you could actually like tape with the people today, they just take for granted you put the tape in the camera, but back then it was a camera with a wire that went to a VCR that you strapped to your side. And I had access to one of these, And we were in high school and we were setting out to make a Raiders of the Lost Ark type story. It was called Indiana Jones and the Towers of Tahiara. It was a story that I was working on, and that got sidelined. It never saw the light of day, but we had a blast messing with all that stuff. And then I didn't get back into making things digitally until I met Vidas about 10 years ago, and he was casting for his film Dreamtime. And we became friends on that shoot, and we've had a successful collaboration ever since, off and on, with different projects. But that was the first one, and then I've done some smaller parts for folks locally. Just some of them shot on film, and some of them were just last-minute things. I'd show up and do a bit part. I did a few things for Ben Bays, usually playing the bad guy with no lines, standing in the background and scowling at somebody.
That's right.
But that seemed to be my stock in trade, and so yeah, but not a whole lot really. I haven't done a whole lot of acting, but I do work in production for a living, and so I'm around this stuff all the time. I do write, I do cast, I direct, I produce. So I've had my fingers in media professionally probably for the last almost 15 years now.
So let's talk about Dreamtime since you brought it up.
Okay.
Then we'll get over to you.
Oh, that's fine.
But let's talk about Dreamtime. It's kind of like what was the thought process from that? You went from 16mm film to digital video.
Yeah. Well, what was interesting is that I wrote it when I was living in Chicago, and everybody told me it was going to be way too expensive to make because the film itself has got a few different sets, but at the end, when people go behind into the dream world, I had a lot of extras and different costumes. And so I was told, oh, it's too expensive, it's too expensive, it's too expensive. I moved to Columbus, Ohio, and meet people who were like, oh yeah, we can do this, no problem. And everything that we did, we almost got for free. I remember I called Ohio State and I said, hey, I'm looking for a building, or I'm looking for a hallway. And they said, fine, you can have the engineering building, we'll give you a security person, and it cost me like $10. And then all the people that came as extras, it was basically people put out a cattle call and said, hey, this guy's doing a film. And I had literally 60 people show up in costume. And I just on their own, and I just had to feed them all. And so it was that to me was very different from doing film in Chicago than doing it here in Central Ohio. In Chicago, it seemed everywhere that we went, they wanted money, they wanted to do this. Not trying to put anything down, but here it just seemed like people were a lot more receptive and open to making like independent film. So we had a lot of success, and I thought it turned out it was a great experience. I thought it turned out great. So
yeah, it does seem like with digital video, it makes filmmaking is kind of like the new garage band. It seems like everybody's making movies now because they can. They're not necessarily making good movies, but they are making movies. And there are more good movies as opposed to before, but there's a lot more bad movies than there were before. Okay. But one of the things is, I remember you were in a very professional-looking product, The Courier from Greg Sabo. How did you get involved with The Courier?
Oh, gosh. A few years before The Courier, I had worked with Jared Green on an independent project. And he called me up one day and said, hey, these guys are doing this movie. It's called The Courier. I think it's going to be good. You should come audition. So I went in and I actually auditioned for a completely different role. And then I guess last minute they had a casting snafu and they said, hey, could you play this character instead? And I said, sure. And it was fun.
Yeah, you got to be the girl with a shotgun.
Yes, I did. I had actually never shot a gun before I had to shoot that large shotgun. It was interesting.
So you'd never even really fired a weapon before?
Never.
That had to have been fun.
Yeah. It was fun.
It was empowering, right?
Yes. I mean, they were blanks, but they were blanks that had a kick.
Cool. Any other film-like projects? Do you do commercial work then, too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mainly I do commercials and industrials. I do some voiceovers as well. But yeah, it's mainly based here in Columbus, but I have been traveling more recently to the outer edges, I guess.
Okay.